If man can hold on to just a piece of the original truth given him at birth, he may make it out alive, but there are many that will not. No, some get to the point where the game hits a dead end and they submit to defeat thinking that there are no other options to default to. There are those that forfeit the trueness of life and delete themselves prior to being summoned by the all. Sensing that he has been the operant power of his own demise sends him into even deeper levels of his depressed state. Reaching for his white flag, he no longer wants to play this game and considers joining the ranks of self-deleted. Feeling the fire of regret working its way up his back, he falls to his knees and cries out to his creator, the only words that he has to offer. Show me the way. You know what, brothers? I've shared with y'all on I don't know how many occasions, man, about the hard time I experienced in life, my bottom. You know, when I talk about facing foreclosure, facing repossession, got divorced, lost my job in the same day. Like, y'all all hear me talk about that. I've talked about that, man, probably 100 times over the last 4 or 5 years, right? But I'll be honest, man, that part of my life was a carnival, was a festival compared to a portion of my life, man, that I never talk about, that I never speak on, man. There was a part of my life, there was a time in my life, man, where I was 99.99% sure that I was about to do some time, man, that I was about to go to prison, man. And it was only by the grace of source energy. It was only by the grace of God, brothers, that I didn't. And I want to share that with you brothers today, man. But before that, man, I have to give you some backstory. And I have to give you some backstory, man, just so you can first understand that the path that I chose to take and the things that I chose to do, man, I didn't have to do those things, right? So you got to understand, man, I grew up in this city called Longview, Texas, in East Texas, right? You have to understand that East Texas, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe even now, East Texas has always been, like, you have Jim Crow and then you have East Texas. East Texas has always been light years behind the rest of the world. You know, as far as like race relations, black, you know, that whole thing. I can remember one time this old schooler told me he was from Mississippi. He was in Mississippi back when it was segregation and all this. He said, man, I grew up in Mississippi, man, and it was bad. He said, but when I relocated to East Texas, he said it made Mississippi look all right, man. So that just gives you an idea on how the energy is in East Texas, right? But you got to understand, I grew up in a small community, a large community actually outside of Longview called Lakeport, right? And even inside Lakeport, you know, we was in this area called Adams Addition. And looking back on it now, man, Adams Addition was like a planet all to itself. Because when you talk about being in a time where the crack epidemic was doing something, you know, the race situation or energy behind it in East Texas was a certain thing, Lakeport and Adams Addition, man, was immune to all that. You have to understand, man, you're talking about a few rows of all new homes. I don't know, probably 20 or 30 homes, all African American people. Every home had the biological father, biological mother, all hardworking parents, all healthy, smart kids. But it was just a world that was immune to all this stuff, man. So that's where I grew up, man. In Lakeport, you gotta understand, man. That I talk about my moms and my mother and my father all the time, man. Like, everybody just had healthy situations, bro. So that's why I grew up. That's the environment I grew up in, right? So fast forward, man, a lot of y'all heard me talk about my father passing when I was around 12 years old. And even then, brothers, like things were still in a positive energy. Like, my mom was still holding down the fort on all levels. You know, a lot of people, a lot of these, women nowadays, they talk about this whole, boss chick stuff, and they get a few dollars in their pocket and they think they this bad, independent. I'm gonna tell you, man, when I hear women talk like that, it doesn't move me. because I've already seen that. Matter of fact, I've seen that on steroids. Like when I say my mom was a boss chick / entrepreneur, it wasn't like she was selling, some small crafts, man. My mom owned a business that was selling voltage regulators to the FFA. So she was making power moves. You know what I'm saying? So that's the environment I grew in, man. I grew up seeing, entrepreneur. I grew up seeing had a positive role model. And my mom, even when my pops was gone, man, she was giving me the one-on-one on life. She was telling me how to navigate. This is how you move in this world so you can succeed. Even when my mom wasn't sharing information, man, I had my aunt Maylou, man. She was always giving me the game on women. Like a lot of this red pill content we talk about now, a lot of this red pill content I talked about on my old channel back, a couple of years ago. But I was getting this game at 12 years old. That's how I made it through the cracks, man, without getting all these crazy baby mamas or having these women do it. I had the game already, man. So you have to understand, man, that life was good. I was in a good position, man. I can remember in my teens, I was working, going to school. I was in college, and and the whole time, brother, I just always had big dreams, man, of doing big things. I was heavy in church. I remember going to church on Wednesday nights, brother, and I was the only young cat there, 17 years old, 16 years old, and there were these old men and women trying to get the knowledge on, So that's where I was, brothers. And I can remember the girl that I was dating, which was end up being my wife later on down the road. I can just remember, man, we used to go to this park all the time. Just sit there in this park, man. We might be drinking a little something sometime, And I would say, you know what, man, one day I'm gonna be able to, get the house and get the cars and do all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you have to understand that I didn't really understand how to get there. And and this is the crucial, bro, even though I could see my mom moving in a certain energy, I'm gonna tell you, man, it's so important. And I understand it now. It's so important, man, for young men to see their fathers moving in a certain way. Because if you don't see a man that looks like you moving in a certain way, it doesn't really have that same effect, bro. It doesn't have that same effect. Now you got to understand this. During this time, man, this is when the transition was happening, man. This is when the energy of black people were changing. This is when it was going from the energy of going to house parties on the weekend and dancing to now everybody being OGs and gangsters. This is back when, Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood. And it was just a different energy brewing up. Right. And I remember, man, I can remember this. I can remember the thing that took me over the fence, the thing that took me to the dark side, let me say. Right. I can remember, man, I was driving through Kilgore, Texas, man. And there was this cop. His name was Officer Ketchum with a K. Right. There was this cop, man, that back when I was in high school, he would always just pull me over random 2 or 3 times a week. To the point, man, where I had to start reporting it. Like, hey, man, something is wrong, right? Anyway, long story short, here I am, man, later on in life, out of high school, man. I'm riding through Kilgore, Texas, just leaving the gym. And I go up in this store. I guess they still have Radio Shacks. I was in a Radio Shack, man, in Kilgore, Texas, right? And I'm in this Radio Shack, man, for about 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And all of a sudden, man, I see Officer Ketchum coming through the door. And he's already locked eyes with me, man. I hadn't seen him probably in a while, bro. And he comes back to me, man, and says, I need you to come outside. And I'm like, for what, And he said, I saw you on X road, some other road. He said, I saw you on this road about so much time ago, and you didn't have a seatbelt on. I'm like, man, okay. There's no way in the world you finna come up in a store and give me a ticket on me not assuming, me not having a seatbelt on some road that I haven't even been on, right? So it was a major problem, man. Long story short, he said, you gonna either sign this ticket or you going to jail. And I would say, you know what? Well, you might as well put the cuffs on now. Took me to jail, man. And the thing that bothered me, bro, is they didn't let me use the phone. But I had to spend a whole weekend in jail. No phone call, no none of that, man. Finally got out, got done with that situation. End up watching that whole thing away because it was BS. But I'm gonna tell you, man, that situation is what took me to the other side. That situation, you know, we got the songs coming out right then where NWA is saying, at the police, so that's the energy, man. That was the situation right there that put me to the other side. That's when I heard all the propaganda and stepped into it, bro. I would say that was the defining moment, man. And some time passed by, bro, and I just started absorbing this dark energy. And I can remember this, brothers. I can remember calling one of my friends up, man. A friend I hadn't talked to in a long time. A brother named Benji, man. He was from the South Side, right? And I said, Benji, man, I want to start selling that work, man. He was like, what? Now Benji didn't sell that work, man, but he knew everybody that did. He was Ace Boone with everybody that did, man. He was like, bet, man. So he said, pick me up at this address tomorrow, man, and I'm gonna put you on, right? So I picked Benji up, bro. And Benji took me to a spot, man. And that was my first time. I don't even know how old I was, man. That was my first time going to a trap spot. You know what I'm saying? I saw brothers in there on the stove cooking that work. I saw brothers in another room, you know, rolling that work. And I knew these brothers. I knew these brothers from back in Little League. I knew these brothers just from the city, man. And they were just looking at me like, bro, what you doing here, man? Like you know you from across that river, like brothers used to say, man. And I just got into that life, man. I just got into that life, man. You got to understand, in a matter of a season, bro, life just transformed. I went from being just regular old, soul, to just a dope boy version of myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I transformed, but I look at some of the old pictures of like old family pictures, looking through family albums, man, and reunions, and I see myself, man, coming up in the spot with the Chronic hats on, man. I don't know if I was burning one. I don't know if I don't know, man. I was just living a dark time, but I transformed into this dope boy, man. I remember, you know how everybody pull up, on the weekends, everybody go to the spot, they got their rides cleaned up, brother. I was that brother pulling up with Big Knock. I was that brother pulling up on switches, hydraulics. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about them 3 and 6 cylinders. I'm pulling up on them 10s and 12s where the wheels bowing in. So I might pull up to the spot, park that thing on 3, get out, smoke coming out the car, speakers knocking, baddie with me. You know what I'm saying? It was just a different life, man. But the brother had just transformed instantly, man, and I was just submerged in dark energy to the point, man, where I couldn't even see the world the same anyway, man, the same way. And I'm gonna tell you, man, it was in a short amount of time when the bottom started coming in, right? Like there was just a short amount of time before my money started getting funny. There was a short amount of time before I lost my apartment, because I was a young man. I had my own crib. Lost my apartment, man. Had to move back in with my mom, right? I remember I had a car stolen. I had this caddy, man. I had this caddy on Hunter Spoke Dayton's, bro. Big Knock, right? I remember one night I was leaving a party or a club or something, and I saw these brothers trying to, following me. I said, man, these cats are following me. Didn't think none of it, man. Woke up the next morning, the lack gone, bro. The Cadillac gone. So that was when the bottom was hit, man. Everything was just happening. But you gotta understand this. Even during that time, brother, I had people in my ear trying to get me to go the right way. Like, I can remember one of my best friends at the time, Lane. Lane was in the military. Lane was in the Navy. And I remember Lane had been all out to Japan, and he had been all over the world. One time Lane came home, man, and him and I were having a conversation, just a one-on-one. And he was like, bro, like we better than this, man. Like, we wasn't raised to move like this. Like this not even in our nature, man. And in my mind, I'm thinking, man, he's dead on right. He said, bro, you gotta think about joining the military. And I was like, bro, the military ain't what it do. I ain't feeling that, man. I can even remember my mom telling my uncles to have a conversation with me. And my uncles were truck drivers, right? And if they weren't driving trucks, they were in their Winnebagos. And I'm not talking about those small Chevy Chase type Winnebagos, man. I'm talking about those big boys. You know what I'm saying? They were just balling back in the day. And I remember one time, man, my uncles came over to my grandmother's house, man, and I was over there. You know, Chronic had probably, I don't know, but I was just in a different. And they said, hey, nephew, come outside. It was nighttime. They said, come outside, man. Let me talk to you, man. And I remember they brought me up in one of those big Winnebagos, and we were sitting down. And they poured me up a big plastic cup of some red wine, man. And we were just sitting there just chopping. And they said, nephew, man, like the world, the life you're living, man, like you have to understand, like is going to end a certain way. Like you understand that the things, just the energy you're moving in, because they didn't know what all I was doing, but they knew I was moving in a dark energy. They said it's going to be a dead end. And bro, they gave me probably an hour-long spiel that actually transformed me. That actually said, you know what? Okay, I need to start moving different, right? But it wasn't an overnight thing. So this is when the I'll say when life's check engine light started to come on, right? I can remember, man, I had this sister, man, this older lady, man, that would call me. She would buy things from me, right? But whenever she had somebody else that wanted to buy a large amount, she would call me up and say, hey, you know what? I got this friend that want to buy this large amount. And I would say, cool. And I would pull up to her spot, man. You know, she had a little trap spot, smelling like yay, smelling like kill. And I would go over there. But there was one time I went over there. She called me one night, man. It was late night. And I went over there, man. And every time I went over there, before I pull up, I would make a block. I'm making a block, man, and I'm looking in driveways. I'm looking in the street. And I pull up, man, and I walk in. And, brother, some intuition kicked in, man. I walked in, and the man that I was looking at, brother, looked like a straight-up investment banker. I said, brother, this man doesn't belong here. And he was talking about XYZ, and I'm like, you know what, brother? Like, yeah, like I can hook you up. Like, I know somebody that can do that, but it ain't me. And I remember saying, if I get out of this place tonight, man, I said, something is not right. I said, if I get out of here tonight, man, I'm done dealing with this sister, man. I said, I feel like she's trying to set me up with something, man. So I got out of that situation, man. I felt like that was a red flag. And I ain't gonna lie, man, even then, life just got darker and darker. I can remember, man, me and two of my best friends, man. One stayed beside me, one stayed behind me. We just went on a small spree of some wild stuff, man. Stuff that we did, man, that we swore to each other we would never speak on. Like brother, we can never speak on this, man. And and even one of my friends, his brother was a cop. So we just knew better, man. We knew how life would pan out, bro. And this is the day that everything changed, man. I can remember, and this is probably, weeks or months later, I don't even remember. I can remember getting a phone call from a partner of mine. And a partner was like, hey, man, come over to this hotel, man, and, bring XYZ with you, yada, yada, yada. And I said, bet, man, that's what's up. So I'm headed over there, man. It was, and I don't know if it's still there. It was called the Palace Inn, Longview, Texas, on Highway 80, man. And I'm pulling up. I pull up to the hotel, old scraggly hotel, bro. It wasn't nothing but trouble over there. I pull up to the hotel, man, and I see the room that he says he's in, and I'm getting ready to park. And the door opens to the room that he's in. And out of that room comes the investment banker guy that I saw maybe a month or two before. And he walks out of that room and walks into the room next door. You know what I'm saying? And in my mind, I already knew what this scenario was. I said, you know what? I don't really know. I said, this cat that called me, I fully understand he wouldn't even be messing with this brother. So, man, I circled a parking lot, man. I said, I'm out, bro. So I get on the highway, man. I pull on the highway and I'm gone. Next thing I know, boom, lights behind me. And I'm like, man, this is not good, bro. I said, I already know what this is. So I pull over, man, and I'm gonna tell you this, brothers. In this time when I pull over, man, I'm having a conversation with Source Energy, man, and I'm going through the whole spiel saying, you know what, like I messed up, like I didn't have to go this route, I didn't have to move like this, and I'm saying just give me another chance, Like, if you can just give me another chance, like, I can make this whole situation right, man. And I'm sitting there thinking, brothers, and next thing I know, knock on the window. Boom, boom, boom. It's the cop. And I'm like, all right, I'm finna try to lie and get out of that situation. I let the window down, brother. I look up, and the cop is my best friend's brother. And I'm shocked to see him, and he's almost shocked / disappointed to see me. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I can't believe we in this situation right now. You know, like he understand what was going, you know, he understand the whole scenario. And he said, bro, he said, you know, get the out of here, man. I bet not ever, you know, he gave me a whole bunch of words. I pulled off, man. I took that work. I had a burner with me. I threw all that in the trash, man. I threw all that in the trash. It was later on that evening. I got a phone call from my best friend, the cop's brother. And he said, bro, he said, you got to go. He said, you got to go, man. It's getting ready to get bad, bro. And I didn't understand what he was saying, bro. But the next 24, 48 hours, man, all you saw on the news in Longview, Texas was drug bust. They had on the news, they had people's cars getting towed from their houses. They had people going to jail in handcuffs. And I saw a lot of the man, I'm talking about a lot of brothers. I saw a lot of the brothers that I was rubbing elbows with, man, getting locked up. And again, man, I spent the next 48, 72 hours, brothers, on my knees. And I said, man, my life is going to crap. My money is funny. My cars got stolen. I'm going to go to jail. And I said, God, just show me the way. Like I have nothing else to lean on except you. Just show me how to get out of this situation. And all of a sudden, man, I thought about the conversation me and my brother Lane had about going to the military. And I went straight down to the MEPS, man. And I'm in the MEPS talking to this guy in the military. I said, hey, bro, I want to join the military. He's like, yeah, man, you got to take this ASVAB today. What do you want to do? You can be computer programmers. We can get you out of here in 4 months. You can be this engineer. You know, maybe next year you can get. I said, bro, I need the first thing out of here. I said, what's the first job I can take to get out of here? He's going through he said 63 Tango, tank mechanic. I said, I'll take it. The next 24, 48 hours, I remember I went to Louisiana to take my ASVAB test. Passed that, went and took all my blood tests and all that stuff, brother. And in 2 weeks, I was on a plane flying to Kentucky. But you gotta understand, the whole time I was in basic training, I just knew that they were finna say, hey, you know what, soldier, come up to the front. You gotta go back home. Like them folks want you, man. Them folks want you. And I said all that to say, man, it's about like I talk about that dark time, and I've shared other dark times, man. You have to understand, man, that life is all about choices. Life is all about choosing the correct alley. Even when you find yourself in dead end situations, and it might not be you doing something illegal or facing jail time. It could be you just in a situation, man, where your job is doing something in your relationship and your kids are acting crazy and life is just at a dead end. Like, you have to understand, man, that a doorway to a journey is always there, bro. And it's just a matter of you taking it and traveling that path and forgetting the past, or choosing to sit there. But you gotta understand this, brothers. When your life is doing a certain way, source energy is still listening. Source energy is just waiting on you to put all that you have on it, so a way can be made, man. Like all you have to do is say, show me the way, man, and that door will present itself to you. But it's just a matter of you taking that journey. It's just a matter of you walking through that threshold and not looking back. It's just a matter of you walking into the unknown. You know, and in November, man, y'all need to get registered for the journey, man. In November, we're gonna start that. We're gonna talk about that journey, because even once you get on that journey, there's a whole nother things you have to learn, and parts of yourself, and understanding your God power. We're gonna talk about that God power, man, and talk about getting across that bridge in life, brothers. But you have to understand, man. You have to understand that there's always a way out. Like, a lot of you brothers that are complaining about life right now, You're saying, man, you know, I'm 25 years old, I'm 35, I'm 45, I'm 55 years old, and I'm still at this dead end in life. Like this job, it ain't doing nothing for me, man. Like this life I want to live, man, it's not there. You know, or my life with relationships and women it's just a dead end. My money is funny, it's a dead end, bro. All you have to do is take that journey, man. Take that journey, man. Get across that bridge, brother. And that life that you really want, it's there, man. It's there. I'm gonna tell you this, man. It's never over. And I don't really say this a lot. If I do, I don't say it enough, man. I don't care what you're going through, brothers. Brothers, trust source, man. I mean, you can be doing things. You can be living the life that you can be living a life, man, that you know is unfavorable. You can be doing things right now that you know you're better than. Trust source, bro. Trust source, man. That thing that I talk about, man, that energy I talk about, man, it's something you can stand on. It's something that even when you've been moving foul, even when you've been moving sour, even when you've been selling work, even when you've been stepping out on your wife or your husband, even when you've been neglecting your kids, even when you've been calling in sick when you know you should have been going to work, even when you haven't been taking care of people that you should have been taking care of, man, taking care of the responsibilities, you got to understand, man, there's always a point in time where you can just say, you know what, God, show me the way.